Hi everyone, today I am focusing on the strategy gallery walks. I chose this strategy because it is one that I have used many times in writing. It is an activity my students love and I wanted to be able to use it in other content areas. When you hear the term gallery walk, you might think of art museums or citywide art events where you travel from gallery to look at and discuss different types of art. A classroom gallery walk is very similar to this. The students display different types of work for a variety of audiences and then receive feedback about their work. On the left-hand side, you'll see my daughter. She had a psychology fair at school, and similar to a science fair, they displayed their work in a gallery walk fashion. And on the right are my students at the end of the year participating in a gallery walk showcasing their finished poetry unit. There are many benefits to a gallery walk. Audience, the fact that the activity can be timely, it's intrinsic to the student, it aligns with Common Core, students are engaged at a higher level, multiple best practice strategies can be used during a gallery walk, and these strategies transfer to different content areas. I would like to spend a few minutes talking to you about the benefits. Helping kids share their thinking, products, and hearing feedback can change the tone of a classroom. I think one of the biggest benefits of a gallery walk would be the audience. I found this cute clip that I think represents this very well. The teacher says, "I'm really happy I let you guys talk me into having this publishing party." And the student says, "We only did it for the food." And the teacher says, "What?" She says, "We're here for the food. We don't really care about a little packet of our stupid essays stapled together. It's lame. And then a student pops his head in and says, Liz, your essay is so great. I loved it. Will you sign my copy and autograph it? And Joan wants one too." "You did? Well, sure." It is very powerful when the kids hear feedback from their peers. I feel like they may believe it a little bit more sincerely and authentically when it comes from their own peer group. You can also change up the audience a bit by inviting younger grades to come and look at older grades' works or vice versa. Fourth grade, we've invited fourth grade to come up and look at fifth grade work just so that they can see kind of the expectation changes that might happen as they increase. Another benefit is time. When you have 25 to 30 students, it can take a lot of time for the kids to be able to share their products. When you have a gallery walk, you can display the work in various ways, so it kind of cuts down on that time and more kids are active. It's also hard to make sure that the kids in the audience are actually engaged in having the takeaway you want for them to have. So gallery walk in conjunction with the pieces that go into having a gallery walk can really help with that. A gallery walk tends to be intrinsic to the students because unlike Charlie Brown here wondering if his teacher gets tired of saying want, want, want all day, the child is doing the thinking. It is truly student-led. You may have to scaffold and form your gallery walk to meet your students' needs, but overall the student is the one that's reflecting, thinking, synthesizing this new information, and then relating it back to themselves. There's also really great Common Core real-world relevant examples. So the top left photo shows landforms, forests, seas, and has information on it. At the bottom is a technology-friendly way that you can do a gallery walk where you can actually have the kids create things on the computer and then stage the computer so the kids can walk around and hear them. A gallery walk is also very versatile. You can use it in technology when creating Glogsters, Prezzies, book talks. The kids could use it during social lessons with interest collages or have them practice feedback skills. You could use it in science to launch a new unit of study. You could assess students' ability to communicate new learning. And during writer's workshop, during revising, editing, or word choice. You could also use it in math to display different types of graphs, line plots, and also display different student learning. So like if they have a strategy, if you put up multiplication and you notice that, 4 or 5 different kids use a different strategy to do that, you can have them display that strategy and maybe their thinking that goes with it, and then display the finished products in a gallery walk way, and have the kids jot down their new learnings and expose them to different methods. There are a few things that you have to have in place before you begin your gallery walk. The first would be a safe environment. Your kids need to know how to give feedback and how to receive feedback in a positive way. You also need to have in place discussion techniques and other social norms that you want them to follow throughout group activities. Your gallery walk should have a clear focus. You should know what you want your kids to learn and take away from this, and they should know that too, which leads to the expressed outcome. It is not an inquiry-based lesson, so what you're wanting them to really, that aha moment, can be expressed in an explicit lesson at the beginning, and then reinforced throughout the gallery walk. The activity prep can be done by either the teacher, by having everything ready and displayed, or you could have the kids take chart paper and markers home and scribe their work onto it in their homes, and that way when they come in the morning, you can gather the posters and put them up around the room. Your classroom management procedures need to be in place before you do this. If it's not, then your first couple gallery walks should probably be pretty teacher scaffolded and teacher directed. I like this quote by Harry Wong that he says, "You don't build your football team on game day. You don't drill a well when you get thirsty." So your kids, you might want to have a call sign to get them quiet if you need, so that you can give directions during the gallery walk. And you need to have some of the details already established and them understanding how the voice level that you want in the room, how you're picking who they're traveling with, or if it's a free form, that there's an end task in mind. So those classroom procedures are really important. Now, how to use a gallery walk. The first thing you're going to do is display work. It could be teacher-made work or it could be student work. So example A are students in a health class looking at different health posters. Example B is math, and these were actually just laid onto a desk, and I thought that was quite brilliant because the kids could use different strategies, show their thinking, show their work, and then you could have the kids walk through and jot down through quick writes or maybe a KWL chart and kind of show new learnings that and connections they're making. You need to provide a way for students to leave comments. You could have teacher-made feedback forms or journals for quick writes. Picture C, are my kids writing actually on the poetry at the end of the year and they wrote comments? I used Post-its a lot, and they would just put the Post-its up on the poster, or they would turn them over upside down on a desk. There's a lot of freedom and teacher discretion when it comes to how you want your kids to provide feedback and the work that you want to display. So I find that very fun and respectful as a professional. The next step is to give directions for the gallery walk, and a couple things you might want to think about would be, how will the kids rotate? Will they be timed, or will you just have a set number of examples you want them to look at? Can they discuss as they rotate, or are you wanting it to be more of a reflective activity? Number 4, I find is very important. You need to model how to view, read, and respond. And that comes back to the application part of what you're going to ask the kids to do. Do they know what they're looking for? I think if you have expressed the focus pretty clearly and you have a solid outcome you want from them and they know it, then they know what they're looking for. Debbie Miller in Teaching with Intention says, "I believe that the language we use in the classroom affects children's learning in fundamental ways. It affects the way they interact with and value each other and their diversity.
the kinds of literacies they develop, and who they become as literate individuals. So I feel like the teacher really needs to show them what he or she wants and how to do it. The next thing you're going to have to decide is to direct the flow of traffic. How are you, if the kids are rotating and they have time, then exactly how is that going to happen? If it's free form, how are you going to handle how many kids are at each displayed item? Are you, as a professional, walking in between them and conferring and talking and questioning, maybe just listening and gathering quick quotes that you're going to want to use and share out, or observations that the kids are making that are powerful that you might want to bring into the share out as aha moments that you heard other people having. And then 6 would be highly important, and that is the closure activity to the gallery walk. It could be a student directed thing where it's grand conversations in small groups. It could be a reflective activity such as a quick write. You could have questions you want them to answer, but in some way closure needs to be brought back to what that clear focus was, so that they begin the lesson with the explicit instruction and they leave revisiting what that main point was. There are some issues that can come up when you do a gallery walk. One would be the poor quality of questions. A lot of the articles I read suggested that the questions be really open-ended so that a lot of discussion and thinking can happen for the child. Space can be another factor that you might have to problem solve with. You may need to move your gallery walk to a hallway or a different space. Time could be an issue. There's some flexibility on the teaching part of it, but if you have it timed at each station, then what are you going to do if the kids get done quickly? Keeping the students on task. Comments, mirroring prior comments. So you might want to have the kids turn their Post-its upside down so that each comment is fresh and new and they're not just feeding off of other comments. And also the relevant part to the kids. They may not understand what the activity is actually designed to do and treat it more as a playtime. Some of the solutions for those problems would be to really think about and prepare the questions carefully. Have a very clear focus and maybe remind the kids a few times through the lesson what the point of this activity is. Arrange the room or move to a larger venue. Provide feedback forms, and there's a variety of feedback forms on the web that you can Google and look up, or you could make your own, or use other strategies such as quick writes, anticipatory guides, KWLs, and those type of things, and just kind of change it up to keep it fresh for the kids and so that they have ways to do it. And then part of that feedback form would be the share out, changing the share out up to small groups or partner, think, pair, share that we've learned about in class, or you could have the kids reflectively write in like a shared writing kind of journal way. So just maybe even changing up, if you use a gallery walk frequently, kind of changing up those ending activities to help them think in different ways and different levels and just to be able to communicate a little differently. And then of course procedures. Your children really do need to be able to move around the room carefully and safely. They need to know how to speak to each other, how to have appropriate facial expressions when they speak, tone, the word choice that they use, so that the feedback doesn't become critical and hurt people's feelings. So my last slide are the references I used. I love gallery walks. My students love them. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Bye.